A teenager's body found on a remote New Mexico mesa has unraveled into a chilling story of betrayal, revenge, and a young woman accused of luring him to his death. On May 19, 2024, a passerby spotted a body lying on a dirt track on Petita Mesa, a remote, off-grid area outside Albuquerque. Responding deputies found a teenage boy, shot in the head, with no identification except a debit card bearing the name Jesus Quintana. The next day, Jesus's aunt filed a missing person report, confirming what investigators feared. The 16-year-old, who had been raising himself and supporting his grandmother after his mother's death in Mexico, was the victim. Jesus had vanished after stepping into a gas station convenience store during a late-night outing with friends. Surveillance footage showed him exiting through a side door, and then he simply disappeared. Investigators soon learned Jesus had been in contact online with 18-year-old Mariana Gomez, someone he'd never met in person but hoped to. Days after his body was found, Mariana approached his grieving family at a car wash fundraiser, claiming she'd picked him up that night, argued with him, and dropped him off safely. But a search near the gas station uncovered Jesus's cell phone, with a bullet hole through it. Confronted again, Mariana finally broke, naming two teenage boys, 17-year-old Dominique Marquez and 18-year-old Daniel Medrano, as the ones who lured Jesus into the desert and killed him in revenge for a drive-by shooting weeks earlier, one Jesus was suspected of committing after a dispute over a stolen truck. During interrogation, Daniel eventually admitted the group picked Jesus up near the gas station, drove him to the mesa, and that a physical struggle over a firearm ended with Jesus being shot. Daniel claimed a mysterious fourth person, his own father, was actually responsible for pulling the trigger, though investigators were never able to substantiate or locate this individual, and Mariana couldn't identify him either. What made the case even more disturbing was uncovering the digital trail. Text messages revealed Mariana had been actively coordinating the plan with Dominique in the hours before the murder, discussing timing, reassuring each other it would go as planned, and instructing Jesus to be lured out under the pretense of finally meeting in person. After the murder, Mariana continued texting Jesus's phone and messaging his social media, pretending to still be waiting to hear from him, an apparent attempt to create a false trail and cover her involvement. Daniel and Dominique both pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, conspiracy, armed robbery, and aggravated assault, each receiving sentences of over 20 years in prison. Mariana took her case to trial. She was acquitted of murder, with her defense arguing she'd been forced to participate, but she was convicted of kidnapping and tampering with evidence, ultimately sentenced to nearly 20 years behind bars. At sentencing, Jesus's family delivered a gutting victim impact statement, describing him as a bright, kind young man who represented the memory of his late mother, now taken from them in an act of premeditated, cold-blooded violence. The case remains a haunting reminder of how quickly online connections can turn deadly, and how far some were willing to go for revenge.